something you do.
Yeah, okay. All right, here we go. Ready? Okay, what I'm going to do here today is a long, layered haircut on my girl Angela. Say hi, Angela.
Hi.
Okay. So, and we picked her because she's the sweetest girl in town, right? So, as you see, we have long layers, and those are always a challenge to cut when someone comes in. You know, their hair is down to the, waistline, and they want layered hair, and you're like, oh my God, here we go. So it's pretty simple though. I've been doing this a long time, like 30 years, we'll just say. So you look at the customer's hair, you decide it's this long, and her first layer is going to start about here in the front. So we're just going to do a trim on Angela today because we already have established her haircut, but I'll work through and show you the steps of a long layered haircut. So she always really parts her hair like this, so I keep it combed, where you would make it different depending on her part. If it's always in the middle, I'll part it in the middle. I'll show you that after. But right now I'm going to get my line around to give me the base. So I'm going to look at, I start in the front and go around. So I'm going to start at her bangs. She likes a long bang. She really wants to keep growing the length. She doesn't want any of her length really ever gone, just for trim. So I'm going to go in the front and I just trim it. I start long. And I realize where I'm going here that it's going to continue on because I know the hair is going to be behind me. I'm not going to go like this and cut it. I'm going to go like this and cut it. So that's what I'm doing. And I'm going to go up to her shortest point. She don't mind a little bit shorter in the front. She doesn't have her makeup on, so we can't show too much of Angela. So we sort of, she don't mind a little bit in the front to frame her face. So we do a little bit there. And then I'm going to tilt over because it is so long. And we're just going to see, she doesn't really want to lose any length, so I'm just going to take as little as possible and keep the shape going around it though, of course. And sometimes I don't like to follow through the whole back this way. I like to start from the other side too, because if I do that, I'll end up, by the time I get to the other side, it won't match up at all. So now I did to behind her ear, I'm going to go the other side and then I'll match it up coming around. Again, this is a long layered haircut, and I'm going to match it up in her front here. And be conscious of where my hands were, like the other side was extreme. I'm not going to do this and go way in. I'm also going to follow down as much as possible because she doesn't want to lose a lot of length. And the more you can save on a longer line in the front, because there's only a little bit of hair you're working with here, this, compared to, that. So leave a lot in the front so you don't have hardly any hair in the front and a ton in the back. So just tip this and keep that growing long. And the highlight, not to mention, looks pretty good, Angela. So yep, you might have to bend down. We don't need to cut the hair off to make it easier for us to bend, okay? So we might have to, if the chair, say, doesn't go up to the ceiling because her hair is so long, you might have to bend down a little bit. So if I can find, here we go. We're going to move Angela up just to do the, and sometimes I stand people up so I don't take off too much. I'll show you that after. But see, we don't want to just cut that because it's there. We just want to trim it and keep it long. And because it is affected by the chair, take a minute sometimes with your customers and watch. Angela, can I have you come right over here? I'm going to have you stand right in front of me. Thanks. Thanks, Pumpkin. And I love when my girls are tall. See, she's a little taller, so then it makes it even easier. Oops, sorry. And this is, and I do recommend that my old instructor back in the day told me, make sure you take all your customers' earrings out before you do their hair. I'm notorious for letting them leave them in, but please make your customers take them out. So let's do this. And what I'm going to do, because I already did these corners, let's see how they're even. I've done this a long time, so they're usually pretty close. Okay. Look way down, Angela. Good. You got to sort of have a picture in your head before you do it, how it's going to work out. And I've done Angela's hair quite a while. We're moving right along, but take your time when you're doing your clients. And and when I make her head go down, it gets all that hair underneath that will come out, so you don't have them frayed ends underneath either for a haircut. So I'm just gonna trim the bottom and stand back to get you gotta see, you can't be up like this and think you're gonna see it all. So you need to stand back to see the entire haircut take its shape. Because Angela wants, we gotta get it long, long, long. It runs in, we all love long hair around here. Oh, that's pretty. And I do this too. I measure the sides because you can't really go like this and like this all the time. So I hold it out to get balance, to make sure we're pretty balanced. You grab both sides. And if one is not balanced, you go to that side and make your changes. Okay, honey, you can sit right down here. Okay. And with Angela, I start on the front. It's going to be a pinwheel, is what you're going to do. So, pinwheel, all the way around. Whether it parts in the middle, parts on the side, whatever. So, we already did our base, so we're going to match up. Whatever layer we determine here is going to blend into all of our layers. So here we go. And Angela has some hair, it's pretty thick, so I don't want to go too fine because then you're just running into problems. You want a good amount proportion for what you're going to be doing. So I'm just going to give her like this, a long layer is her layer. But look folks, we need to blend this in to this, so pay attention. So this pinwheel, see? I always like to see where I'm going. I'm not going to be blind to where my end is. I need to know really, see, I see where my end is. So I'm going to blend that piece. See, I know my end is down there. That's it. Don't go more into it. And with here, instead of just cutting this out because her hair is fine right here, I'm going to sort of take that whole section so it's sort of all this, a little more hair, so I don't cut too much out. Less is better to be safe. Just a trim, but you get the idea. And then we're going to start down sections all the way like a pinwheel. So I look for my first layer, which was there, and I'm going to take off very tiny bit each cut, little bit, because it's got to keep going. I want my hair very long. Drop it, little tiny bit. You might have to do that 20 times on each section until you figure out a long enough layer. You can't just take this hair, pick it up, and go, yep, there's the long layer. So what you do is you bring it up. You check where your first layer is again. There it is. You don't just cut it. You go like this, comb it again, drop some. A little more until you're at the end of it. There we go. Continue on. We love the layers, right, Angela?
Mm-hmm.
Again, there's a layer, so we're just gonna tiny bit. See, a tiny bit. It takes a while. You can't just cut in. There's a little bit left back here. I'll show you. Let me turn her so you can see what I'm doing here. See, because there's a lot more there, so. And then bring it up until there's the bottom again. So I bring it up here. This is like the biggest part of the layer that you should be cutting out. Really hardly any of the bottom area. So we're gonna bring this up with some of your old section, because then you'll see your layer. And again, this is just a cleanup for Angela, because she gets this done every 8 weeks, so. But if it was grown out, you would have a good base, and you would continue on. And I'm sorry, but I am hooked on finger wave combs now for my hair cutting combs. I feel they're more secure. They don't bend. See how that's a little grown out there? And I just blend it in. See, you get rid of that right there. Still not to the end. But it doesn't matter. I try to take as much of this as possible because that's already cut to use. I mean, none of those pieces should be into my new haircut, so I can't lose. Always bringing that over here. I'm always cutting this hair. And continue to comb until you feel good about it. Like, really make this haircut come into something. Like, it all should be blended all the time. And I'm taking always from this area here. It doesn't need to be like right here, but this area right here where her brown spot is on the crown of her head. And I just want to use this word because it's fun, but the occipital bone here to here, you want to leave as much hair underneath as you can because you want that for the length. You don't want to get that skinny. You want that full. So you don't want to take off a lot from that. You want that nice and full. See that hair underneath? Right to there. And again, there's her line of length. And I'm coming around the front. And this is really the last section. That would be the back hair. So you really have to, oops, sorry, got a little. Doing okay, Angela? Mm-hmm. And then we're gonna, see again, there's the layer already there. Just tip that so it's nice. You don't want those, you don't want to leave those ends because it would be frizzy. So then you would, see that needs to be freshened up a little right there. But keep coming. See, grab the rest of the hair. See it coming up? See, I'm really holding my scissors out, like I'm blending it. You can't, when you start a haircut, you can't get like that. You have to follow through, so. And I mean, I'm really looking at this when I'm cutting it, that we want length. My vision is length, not cutting it. We want length, so there's her layer again, see? It's just a trim, sorry guys. I'll show you when I start from scratch, and then see, you're gonna really pay attention. Don't just cut it, grab it right in and blend it right to the very end, see? And then you come in the front again and you're gonna connect the two pieces in the front. See right here? We're gonna go down right there, see that? But then I want to do like I did in the front because she's thin on this side too, they match. So I'm gonna grab that whole, I want to take this whole section right here because we don't want a lot of length off that. Just really freshen up. You want just a little curvature. You don't want anything hacked in because you don't want it to look mullet. You don't need a mullet. You need it full. Mullets are coming back though, I guess. See, just round it out. Give a little curvature there. Angela's laughing at me. And then you're finished with your, and then cross-sectioning, of course, for double checking, we all know, is that you just would go like this. And to check your work. Now, of course, with a long layered haircut, you cannot bring this right up and it's not going to be in the way. But I do like to make sure my sections are lining up. Let's say like here. You don't want any drop off, so. And over here. But when you start sectioning and getting too crazy with length like this, it's not going to blend. You really got to have a huger foresight of what's coming out here. You can't really section this to a layer. Perfect. Okay, thanks for that. We'll see you back in a minute when she's dry to see how her layers all flow beautifully together.